Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the sales and marketing track at AWE. A few different things to go through, announcements. There are special events. They're VR side events. It should be listed in your agenda. And the Augie Awards. Don't forget the Augie Awards, or you will be very mad. The Augies are May 29th, starting at 11:50 Pacific time. Remember to use the hashtag AWE2020. And I actually put up a post for the last talk, and it starts a really great conversation. All these sessions are being recorded, so just remember that. And a big call out to titanium sponsors, HP, Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Unity. So our next talk, real world marketing through location-based AR games. And now we have Niantic. I mean, these guys, you have to follow them. They're awesome. So we have Carla Lee and Maryam Sabour. They're going to talk about new, engaging, effective ways for consumers to interact with brands and businesses. So I can't wait to hear what they say. And welcome, Carla and Maryam.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here today, and thank you to the AW team for organizing. I'm Maryam Sabour, and this is my colleague, Carla Lee, and we're from Niantic. For those who don't know, Niantic is a planet-scale augmented reality platform, and on top of this platform, we've built a new genre of gaming called location-based AR games. What makes location-based AR games unique compared to traditional mobile games come down to our three core values. The first is exploration. The game board is the real world, so you have to go outside to play. The second is exercise. We want gaming to be an active experience where you have to get off the couch and get moving to play. And the third is social. The games enable real-world, face-to-face social interactions. You may already play our games, and if not, you may have heard of them: Ingress, Pokemon Go, and Harry Potter Wizards Unite. They have amassed over 1 billion in downloads, and with our millions of players, we've hosted over 250 live events in the last 3 years across 175 countries. Passing over to Carla.
Hey everyone, getting used to this new format of cloud conference. So if you have played any of the games that Maryam mentioned, you know that we encourage players to visit real world locations like our statues and other places of interest. But what you may not realize is that we actually also partner with businesses to have their location in our games. As our games require movement and exploration to progress, businesses benefit from this real-world foot traffic that we can bring to them and the immersive engagement that they can have at their locations. We call this the Niantic sponsorship platform. And next slide, please. And to date, we've had quite a few partners plugging in and reaping the benefit of the sponsorship platform across the US, Latin America, Europe, and also Asia Pacific. This includes malls like Simon Malls, fast and casual restaurants like McDonald's, and telecom providers like AT&T and SoftBank, among many others. Which brings us to our topic. Next slide, please. How can businesses do real-world marketing through location-based AR games? And what makes this different from other types of mobile and AR advertising? In a moment, we'll talk about how we're different, followed by some real-world case studies that Maryam will tell you about on how real-world businesses have used it. There are three ways that real-world sponsorship is different. Number one, we're aiming to augment, not detract from the play experience. Two, stories where the user plays the lead role are stickier. And third, location context really matters in marketing. Each of these factors make a marketing engagement a lot more immersive, and by virtue of doing that, it also increases their effectiveness. Let's look to the first differentiator, augmenting the player experience. Our philosophy is to always optimize for the player experience and placing it front and center. So this means that we created this model that is seamlessly integrated into the play experience and does not interrupt the player's journey unless it benefits them. On the left, we see an example of a traditional mobile ad, which tends to be intrusive to users because they interrupt the gameplay and force an interaction with the brand. Not necessarily the most fun experience. On the right is an example of Niantic sponsorship. Our sponsorship, such as the sponsor location depicted here, are integrated into the gameplay so that it feels organic and provides players the optionality of clicking through to engage more deeply with the brand interaction in-game. Industry stats find that native marketing formats are usually 4 times more effective than non-native formats. Further, many traditional ads are the types that you just want to count down the seconds and mute it until you can skip. In contrast, our sponsorship encourages users to actually interact with them by providing extra reward, which are in-game and also sometimes in the real world ones from the store that's right in front of them. So you can actually look forward to finding more of these sponsor locations, knowing that they provide you with enhanced rewards to progress through the game and sometimes real world good surprises too. Moving on to the second differentiator, stories where the user is the lead are stickier. If we look to most AR advertisements today, they tend to be one-off novelty activations. Although it can definitely be very effective, once you experience it, the novelty tends to wear off. In contrast, our sponsorship provides ongoing engagement. When a player engages with a sponsored experience in our games, it's part of the larger narrative of the game that they're experiencing and the mission that they're on. For example, in Pokemon Go, as trainers are exploring the world, encountering and catching Pokemon, they have various research missions to accomplish that help them progress. And some of these missions would include exploring and engaging with real-world places, such as these sponsor locations. In the screenshot on the right, you can see some of the tasks that players are being asked to complete if they wanted to progress more, such as spin a Pokestop 5 days in a row. This kind of tasks encourage players to play every day, which is why a majority of our monthly active users actually play daily. This translates into repeated engagement with sponsor locations and with these brands, making these brands and businesses part of the user's routine as opposed to a one-off engagement. For our games, this kind of immersion and gameplay is why 73% of our players change their walking route on a weekly basis to play our games. When the story tells you there's a different task or interesting Pokemon to capture or battle a street away, players will go out of their way to be immersed in that journey and progress through the narrative. And so brands and retailers can really benefit from plugging into these routine changes and becoming part of that player's journey. And this transformation can be so amazing for some of our players that actually, lastly, the third differentiator is that the location context matters. It's one thing to see a marketing message about cereal when you're at home sitting on your couch, but it's quite another thing to see it when you're standing outside the grocery store and you can actually walk in and make a purchase. This location relevance translates into higher rates of conversion, and 80%, more than 80% of our players state that they've interacted with a commercial location, and 58% of them said that they've spent money at a commercial location while they play. In addition, since the in-game sponsor location reflects the real-world retail location, it makes the virtual game feel more real since it mirrors the real world. And this connection adds to the immersion of the game and brings the story to life even more. By doing so, the interaction with the brand feels more memorable and therefore more engaging for the player and more effective for the brand. This way, the digital reality and physical reality really reinforces each other. Finally, as these sponsor locations become places where players gather to play and are welcomed, it creates this positive sentiment and relationship with the brand and retailer because they've supported the player throughout their journey and in some ways sponsored some of the play experiences too. So the local store then becomes a community hub for players, an integral part of their journey where all the players can come together to play, and this deepens the relationship that the retailer or restaurant might have with the community and with our players. And Maryam will tell you a bit more about some of the recent experiences that we've had with retailers and restaurants.
Thanks, Carla. To demonstrate the effectiveness of Niantic's sponsorship platform, we can look to the conversions that our partners are receiving. So in Korea, SK Telecom's retail locations have been transformed into sponsored locations. What that looks like in Pokemon Go is shown in these example screenshots. So the real store is reflected in-game as this gym circled in red that players can visit to battle for Pokemon. What makes this even more interesting for retailers is that they can actually schedule what time they want a Pokemon to appear at the gym, meaning they can control when they receive the foot traffic. On the left is the countdown players can see on the map up to 1 hour before the Pokemon hatches, and in other words, becomes available for players to battle and catch. On the right, you can see the Pokemon appear during the raid hour. This is what we call scheduled raids. So leveraging these raids and simultaneously promoting their loyalty program as the key call to action during this in-game event, SK Telecom was able to drive an increase of 10.8% in loyalty signups in that hour. Similarly, in Taiwan, our partner 7-Eleven scheduled raids to take place at their sponsored locations at 7 p.m., again for 1 hour. In that hour alone, the resulting foot traffic increased their purchases by 10.5%. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, 7-Eleven also has locations in Mexico. In fact, as part of their launch of sponsored locations in February of this year, they planned a Pokemon Go takeover at one of their locations in Monterrey, Mexico. All 7-Eleven locations in the country, 1,800 of them, had a special in-game event that took place at 6 p.m., where players had a chance to battle and catch a legendary Pokemon. This location specifically organized a full-size Pokemon stadium for player versus player tournaments, with Pokemon Go influencers as commentators and challengers. The event surpassed capacity, and luckily, player communities in other cities of Mexico organized their own meetups at their local 7-Eleven store as well. So they could also wait excitedly for the legendary Pokemon to be released and try and catch it. This experiential engagement provided by 7-Eleven increased their brand's affinity among players, while also driving visits and transactions. The event acted as a kickoff to a full year of sponsored locations, meaning that players will continuously return throughout the year for more gameplay. Now, we've shown how sponsored locations can be effective at the retail level, but to really demonstrate how powerful and effective location-based AR gaming can be, we'd like to share one last example. In 2016, a major earthquake hit Tottori, a small town in Japan. Due to this natural disaster, the number of visitors drastically declined. So the Tottori government had a strong desire to stimulate local tourism, and so they looked to our games as a means to do so. So we decided to put on a 3-day digital event called a Safari Zone, where tons of Pokemon and game content would be located over these sand dunes by the town. And the result was outstanding. 90,000 players descended on a town of 190,000, being a whopping $16 million added to their local economy. So the next time you think about how your marketing can be augmented, look to the power of location-based AR games, as Niantic has proved it works. So thank you for listening in today. It was a pleasure sharing with all of you. We're happy to move into Q&A now and answer any questions you may have.
Hello. we back? Are we on? Hi, both of you. That was so much fun. I have it's always great to hear from the folks at Niantic. Um, so I guess tell me how has this time been for you guys? Are I feel like Niantic has switched um, up your strategy a bit, considering so many people sheltering in place. How has that affected your outreach recently?
Hey, Samantha, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
hear you.
awesome. Great. Yeah, happy to take that question. I think COVID has had a lot of impact on brick and mortar business, obviously. And for us on the location-based gaming front, it did mean that we needed to make some alterations to enable people more to be able to play from home, as well as to be able to play solo when they're going out for walks, because people continue to have the need to exercise and in a socially distanced and healthy way. And for us on the sponsor location side, I think for our sponsorship business, a lot of it has also been working with brands to try to figure out how do we support players during this difficult time. And so we've had recent campaigns, for example, with Verizon or with Samsung in providing these in-game bundles to players to enable them better play from home. And also working on other initiatives. And also, as we think about people starting to go outside for walks in their neighborhood while maintaining safe social distance, we're also looking at other types of features that would allow
Mm-hmm.
the small businesses, for example, to interact with customers that are outside the normal radius of their location so that they can tell them more about their delivery or takeout business. So this is one of the many features that we're considering to help, especially the small local businesses in the wake of COVID, to go into the recovery phase in the future.
That's amazing. I mean, I think that you guys have such just a stellar platform to be able to make a difference. Just one sort of small change can affect uh, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people's actions, which is pretty. I'm probably getting the number wrong, and you probably have it in a deck, but I know it's just one small change, and everybody sort of moves. One of the questions, which was very specific, but if I think that there's some actual Pokemon Go players in the chat, and they were going, "How can we suggest where to put some gyms nearby? Are there? How do you end up managing sort of user feedback and engagement and balancing that with the needs of brands for marketing?"
Yeah, for sure. I think there are two aspects to it. One is for the in-game organic locations, which are points of interest. We do have a player nomination program, and that's called the Wayfair program. And so players who reach the qualifying level within the game would be able to participate in that in terms of suggesting points of interest in their neighborhood and also in reviewing others as well. And so definitely encourage everyone to take a look at that and to consider becoming a reviewer, for example, or to contribute. And on the sponsor location side, I think we'll have some announcement coming out soon in June. And so probably
It's
won't
like
be
hint
making them
hint.
here. But definitely look out for some announcement that we'll be making soon on that front, especially to help our small and local businesses.
Yeah, no, that I think that will just driving foot traffic, right? Even if it's maybe there's a storefront that's closed down, but so you worry that you're not going to get that customer, but you can really drive foot traffic. So that's amazing. One of the it looks like Will asked a question about agencies and third party developers. How do you end up do you work with them? Do you not work with them? I haven't really heard that much. So I that's a question. I guess a lot of people want to work with you. I mean, not surprisingly.
Maybe I can take that one, Carla. We definitely are open to having conversations with third-party developers and with agencies. So obviously, if there are agencies representing brands, and when we are working with those brands, we work with those agencies. So we do that. So I would just say, feel free if you know of, if you yourself are an agency or if you are a third-party developer and you're interested in working with us, I'm probably the right person to reach out to. And my contact information was on the deck. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to kind of, it's kind of a case-by-case basis. It really depends on what it is. So happy to talk about it and try and figure out what we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. This is great. Any other things that you want to add before we wrap up the first day of the marketing and sales track?
Yeah, I think we're still in the early phase of exploring the potential for how to use location-based gaming and also AR to really help focus on the marketing side. And so definitely looking to get ideas as well as collaboration from everyone in the community. So definitely feel free to reach out to the two of us if you have any ideas or if you'd like to collaborate in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I'm always excited to see what you guys are doing and how you're innovating and new kinds of integrations. You offer up sort of the first insight that people have sometimes, or one of the first insights to the power of augmented reality. It's great. I'm so excited that you were part of the track. So thank you to both of you, and thanks to all of the speakers today. I said, way too much fun. Way too much fun. Would want it to go on for hours and hours for sure. We have many days of AWE to come, but this has been a blast. And be sure to check out the rest of the tracks. I think it's just our track that's ending a little bit early, and I think that's it. That's it for me.
Cool. Thanks a lot,
See you
Samantha.
later, everyone.
Thanks so much, Samantha.
Bye.
Bye.